Even though we're nearing the end of November, it seems that Halloween still isn't over because The Simpsons have just aired another horror special.
They're showing a Halloween episode in November!
This falls under the new Treehouse of Horror Presents, which is kind of its own separate spin-off, which started with 2022's Not It. And the opening for this one takes place at a circus, but instead of creepy clowns like Pennywise, we've got a mysterious tattooed storyteller whose ink reveals eerie tales inspired by Ray Bradbury. So let's dive into this episode and start counting some kills. First off, what I found interesting about this Treehouse of Horror is that it's the first one in a while that uses the wraparound structure, which is basically the framing in between the segments that we saw in earlier Halloween specials, like the kids telling stories in the treehouse, the Halloween party, and Bart's art gallery. There's a variety of reasons why this framing device was dropped, but still, it was nice seeing them bring this back for nostalgic reasons, and I thought it was a really interesting idea. So the first story illustrated in the tattoos is based on Bradbury's The Screaming Woman. It starts off with Bart out in a field when he hears someone screaming, and he figures out that the sound is coming from underground and that someone has been buried alive.
Is someone down there?
So Bart rushes home for help, but his parents don't believe him.
I think we all know this is another one of your famous fibs.
With no one else to turn to, Bart tries calling Milhouse using his cup and string phone, only to find that he's at his grandma's house and can't come. Now, this was a pretty funny gag with Milhouse treating his cup like a mobile phone.
Oh, I lost all my high scores!
And speaking of Milhouse, his voice actress Pamela Hayden has just announced her retirement, with this being her final speaking role ever in The Simpsons. Not only has she been voicing him for 35 years, but also Rod Flanders and Jimbo Jones.
Actually, I thought it was a little labored. You gotta lose yourself in the moment, man.
However, this doesn't mean that we've seen the last of Throwhouse, because he'll be recast at some point very soon.
It took 7 hours, but we did it. It's done.
But even still, those are going to be some very big shorts to fill. She's a legend, and I wish her all the best in her retirement. So let's spam "Thank you, Pamela" down in the comments.
This is where I come to cry.
Back to Bart though, and he goes door to door searching for anyone who might be able to help him find out more about this mysterious missing woman. And he eventually winds up at Luann's house, where she invites him in. But things get very weird when she starts serving him warm milk to try and make him sleepy. But he manages to stay alert by stabbing a sugar stick into his leg. Side note, substituting sleeping drugs for warm milk and a pixie stick for adrenaline shots are really funny visual gags. So now energized, Bart rushes back to the buried woman, and just as he thought that she had died, she starts singing a jingle. He then rushes home to sing it to his parents, who luckily recognize the tune.
Double beef burgers, beef fed beef.
You just sang our old burger jingle.
Finally convinced, his parents call up the police, who dig up the supposed screaming woman. But in a plot twist, it turns out to be Kirk Van Houten, buried alive by Luann after he revealed her hair dye secret. But despite this attempted murder, she's free to go.
So are you mad at me? You kind of seem like you're mad at me.
And just when everyone finally sees that Bart can be trustworthy, he instantly tells another lie.
Lisa's a communist.
Take her away, Chief.
I've got to be honest here, I really didn't like this segment. We're told that no one believes Bart because he's constantly lying, but they never show us that. There's just this one line from Homer.
Like that time you said there was a boy in the woods crying wolf, and when we got there was no boy at all.
The issue is, they're telling us, not showing us. A quick funny montage of Bart telling lies would have set the gag up so much better. Then it would have been really clear why no one believed him when he finally told the truth. Also, the whole setup feels a bit recycled, because back in the episode Bart of Darkness, Bart hears what he thinks is a woman screaming, and again no one believes him, and it turns out that it's just Ned Flanders, screaming like a woman. So once more, Bart's tracking down a supposed screaming woman, only for it to be a man, and yeah, it's not an exact copy, but it's definitely a joke that we have seen before. Back at the carnival, and Lisa is staring into a tattoo of gears, which leads us into the second segment inspired by Marionette's ink. It also seems to be partly based on Apple TV Plus's series Hello Tomorrow, with its retro futuristic style and high-waisted pants. This segment centers on Superintendent Chalmers, voiced by Hank Azaria, who also starred in Hello Tomorrow. Tired of enduring Seymour's painfully dull flag meetings, Chalmers heads to a bar for a break, and I absolutely love the look of this retro atomic age Springfield. So much more fun and aesthetically interesting than all of the other Simpsons episodes set in the future. 100%, it looks great. Anyway, at Moe's, he bumps into Carl, who mentions that he's bought a robot clone to handle the task that he'd rather avoid, like doing puzzles with poor Lenny. Intrigued by this, Chalmers decides to buy his own and quickly sends it off to handle Skinner.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I don't think my programming would allow it.
As Chalmers enjoys his newfound freedom with an ice cream, he suddenly spots Skinner, who reveals that he too bought a robot clone to handle all of his interactions with Chalmers. All of a sudden, Carl bursts in a panic, explaining that his clone went rogue, forcing him to then take it out, giving us our first kill of the episode. And sure, it's just a robot, but hey, I count self-aware sentient robots as kills just like any gal does, alright? So with Carl's warning in mind, Skinner and Chalmers race to the school to shut down their clones. Skinner gets to his first, blasting it and racking up our second kill. And then we get to the which one is the real Chalmers moment between him and his clone, with Skinner taking his best guess, which is wrong, accidentally then killing Chalmers. But maybe that's for the best, because at least Robot Chalmers appreciates his bunting.
I couldn't help but notice some lovely bunting samples in your office.
I thought this segment was better than the last one, but it still wasn't quite there for me. For one, it didn't really have many laugh out loud moments, and while I did love the retro futuristic vibe, I just feel like they could have taken it a bit further. Like, just take Skinner's office or Moe's bar, they look the exact same. Which is a shame, because when you can see all of these cool exterior shots as well as Carl's home, it just feels like they just didn't really commit to it, and yeah, that's a shame. What I did like though was that it wasn't focused just on the Simpsons family for once, and that Chalmers was in the spotlight for a change. So then we come to the final segment, which is a Fahrenheit 451 parody. But instead of burning books, they're burning trashy television. And in this world, dumb shows are banned and only smart, slow burn series are allowed. But Homer, who works as one of the firemen, just wishes to watch something dumb and mindless for a change.
Do you guys ever wish TV could be dumb and fun?
During a call, he stumbles on groundskeeper Willie's stash of secret tapes, but before Willie gets hauled off, he slips Homer one of the tapes, which Homer watches in secret, until Bart catches him. Bart promises not to snitch, but of course he does, and Homer has to go on the run. He finds Barney and convinces him to swap clothes with him, which ends with Barney getting vaporized in his place. Homer makes it to a secret underground society that's hoarding the dumbest shows ever made, but Homer inadvertently led the firemen right to them, and the whole stash goes up in flames. But while they may have destroyed the tapes, they could never wipe their memories. So the group keeps them alive by passing them down verbally to the next generation.
And then Sheldon said, "Bazinga."
I gotta say, this twist from burning books to burning television shows is hilarious, and this was easily my favourite segment of the episode, although I did think they missed an opportunity at the end, because instead of Lisa being trapped inside of a tattoo after listening to the 3 stories, how much funny would it have been if the firemen showed up to burn The Simpsons itself down? Imagine the episode ending with the firemen torching it as part of their eradication of dumb television. That would have been a really fun and meta way to end the episode, but that's just a random idea I had. In my opinion, this was a bit of a letdown compared to the Not It special. Maybe that worked better because it was based on just one thing and it was split into just 2 halves with the kids and the adults. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. It definitely had some good moments, but overall it just felt like a very mediocre Treehouse episode. So now to the kill count, and this was most probably the most non-violent, non-bloodiest Treehouse of Horror in years, with only 4 kills. I will award the best kill to Robot Skinner being blown up because it was most visually interesting, and the worst kill has to be Barney being vaporized because it was in the distance and it was a bit dull. So what did you think of this Treehouse of Horror? Let me know in the comments below. Also, a big thank you to my Flying Hellfish Patreon members. If you would like to sign up for early ad-free access to my videos across Lydia Loves Timelines and The Simpsons Theory, simply click my link down below in the description.